career search. So thank you all again for being here today and hope that you have been enjoying the rest of the presentations for Career Day 2021. My name is Alyssa Loskowski, and I'm joined by my colleagues David Buresh and Peter Bartel, and we all work on the employer relations team here within Career Services at SNHU. So in today's session, you'll learn how to effectively use Handshake to network, search for virtual career events, and search for and apply to job and internship opportunities. So we hope that after today's presentation, you will be able to effectively utilize this amazing resource while navigating your own career journey. Just as a quick reminder, today's session will also be recorded, and that recording will be available in a few weeks and will be posted to our SNHU YouTube playlist. So if you have registered for this event through Handshake, feel free to use the QR code provided here on this slide to check into the session today. Now, if you didn't register through Handshake, that is not a problem. You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation today. And of course, throughout the presentation, feel free to drop any of your questions into the chat box. And as David mentioned, he will be sure to gather them for us to respond to at the end. So again, we'll leave some time at the end for that Q&A, and we will try really hard to get through as many questions as we can. Perfect. Thanks, Peter. So as I mentioned, my name is Alyssa Loskowski, and I am an employer relations partner at SNHU. So my role is to partner with employers nationwide to help connect them to our talented students who are looking for career opportunities. And I have been in career services and employer relations for over 9 years now, and I have been with SNHU since February of 2021. So as you see also on the slide here, we have all included our LinkedIn QR codes, which you are welcome to scan now. And we really encourage all of you to connect with us via LinkedIn. So at this time, I'll pass it to my colleague David to allow him to introduce himself, and then Peter will introduce himself and discuss the next couple slides.
So howdy, my name is David Buresh. I'm with the Career Services team here at Southern New Hampshire University. I'm the Career Services Coordinator, which means that I basically help manage Handshake as well as several other programs that we have here to help support our learners, as well as our career services and the employers that we have connected with. I am part of the employer relations team. I've been with Southern New Hampshire University since September of 2018. And yeah, if you have any questions, please put them in chat. I'll be monitoring that actively. If I can answer them in the chat, I will do so. Otherwise, they will go to the Q&A session at the end. And with that, passing it on to my good colleague, Peter.
Thanks, David. Yeah, so Peter Bartel, work on the career team here with Alyssa and David. Glad to be here. Super excited to fill you guys in on Handshake. We got a lot of positive momentum going with it, so want to kind of fully dive into that. But again, Peter Bartel with the career team here at Southern New Hampshire University. So we'll transition to the next slide. We'll go over access and accommodations here at SNHU. Your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Students Online Accessibility Center by emailing oac@snhu.edu or by phone at 866-305-9430. Campus students at the Campus Accessibility Center by emailing cac@snhu.edu or by phone at 603-644-3118. And for SNHU staff and faculty human resources office by emailing hr@snhu.edu. Alyssa, I will kick it back over to you. Oh, yes. Sorry, Alyssa.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
so more contact info, right? So us on the career team here, we're here for any support that you need career-related assistance with. So resumes, interview tips, job search coaching, Handshake, etc. Our email's there at the top, cocecareer@snhu.edu, along with our phone number, 888-672-1458. I'm sure David will put those in the chat during this session. And then SNHU Connect is available for you all as well. That's a great networking tool. And then a lot of our social media outlets are listed on the bottom. So we definitely encourage you guys to connect with us further.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. So some of you have already been doing this, which is fantastic. We just wanted to kind of pause and take a moment to allow everyone to quickly introduce themselves. So again, feel free to keep those introductions coming. You can add your name, your location, your degree program, maybe even what types of positions you're looking for. I see some students have already added their link to their LinkedIn profile. That is fantastic. That's a great way to make connections and network with others that are in attendance today. So again, we truly appreciate everyone's time in attending our event today, and we definitely look forward to sharing our Handshake insights with all of you. Perfect. And before we jump into our presentation, we'd like to take a quick poll just to see how you all use Handshake currently. And so David will activate the poll questions, so they should be appearing now. So if you could please take a second to select the options, that would be great. And we'll just wait a few minutes or so to tally up the results. So Peter or David, once you see those results coming through, feel free to chime in and share with us.
David, if you don't mind doing so, I can't see because I'm screen sharing. So yeah, just give it a few seconds and then we can conclude it and share the results verbally. That'd be great.
Yeah, we are getting responses in at this time, so I'm keeping track of that.
Thanks, David.
And we'll give it about one more minute.
And if you don't use Handshake, there is an option on there, so obviously totally okay. But yeah, we're definitely just curious on where people are at, how they're using it, etc. That definitely helps us as well. And I'm guessing in this poll question, there may be an option or two in there. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that site Handshake did that. So that's another caveat, and we're obviously gonna go through things extensively here.
All right. So we have received 35 responses currently, and the poll will remain open, so please feel free to continue to submit them if necessary. But right now, what we are looking at is 27 responses, so 51% of people who have responded, or 51% of the total response, rather. 27 have said that they use it to search and apply for jobs. 17 have said that they use it to register and attend events. And 8 have said that they use it for reviewing and networking with employers. Oh, that just hopped to 9. We are still receiving responses. So again, that poll will remain open for the full time. So again, as you hop in, please feel free to fill it out and send it along.
Perfect. Thanks, David, for sharing. And thank you all again for responding to that poll. It's great for us to kind of know, again, how all of you utilize Handshake. And again, as Peter mentioned, hopefully you're learning some new ways to utilize Handshake as well. And so I'd like to take a moment to share with all of you some impressive data points regarding employers and job postings in Handshake that are specifically targeting SNHU students. So just in the month of November 2021 alone, we've had 11,351 employers who've been approved to post opportunities targeting SNHU students. We've had 7,093 jobs that have been submitted just in the last month. And we've had 57,486 jobs approved and posted just actually within the last year, and over 284 events posted in the last year. So all of this to say, we have a large number of opportunities for our SNHU students to engage and connect with unique career opportunities via Handshake. So, of course, there are several ways that Handshake can be used to assist you in your own individual career search. And one way to utilize Handshake is leveraging it as a networking platform, especially considering the large number of employers that are on Handshake that was just mentioned in the previous slide. So now we'll play a quick clip on how you can network on Handshake, and then we'll explore and discuss some of the key takeaways.
Alyssa and David, are you able to hear it?
No, we're not.
How about now?
Nope. So you want to make sure the volume is all the way up. It's not playing, so you want to hit play.
Better?
Nope, unfortunately still can't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if the transcription feature, yeah, all right, let me go back. Okay. Yeah, so sorry about that. We had some audio clips we were hoping to play to use different parts of the platform, and it doesn't appear that we're going to be able to get them to play for you. So
Peter, can I walk you through something to try?
yes.
Stop sharing your screen really quickly. And then when you go to reshare, there's a little toggle that you have to just make sure is switched on that says share computer sound, something to that effect.
Yeah, we had it on.
Maybe just try again.
Okay.
And then you can reshare.
Okay, reshare screen. All right, thank you. Yeah. All righty.
You're building.
Can you guys hear?
Handshake's also
Yes.
a tool
Okay,
that
thank you.
employers use to connect with SNHU in order to promote out their opportunities. And all employers' jobs and events on Handshake have been carefully vetted by our SNH. Thanks for joining today. My name.
I restarted it, FYI. We missed the first like 20 seconds, so I just restarted it for everybody. Thanks.
My name is Corey White. I'm with the Career Center at Southern New Hampshire University. In this video, we're going to learn about how to network inside the Handshake platform. Handshake is the premier platform among colleges and universities to serve their students and alumni with their career building needs. Handshake's also a tool that employers use to connect with SNHU in order to promote out their opportunities. And all employers' jobs and events on Handshake have been carefully vetted by our SNHU career department. If you haven't been in Handshake before, you can log in or sign up for Handshake by going to snhu.joinhandshake.com. You will then select Southern New Hampshire University in the Students and Alumni dropdown and log in through your single sign-on. If you have not accessed your Handshake profile before, you will need to activate your profile and agree to the terms and service on this page. Handshake has almost 570,000 employers and about 3.9 million students using this platform. I'm going to show you where to locate employers and certain things to look for, and then a little bit about the Handshake community as a whole. So let's click on employers and we'll see all employers. Over here, you'll see the filtering. You'll be able to filter by location. So say you live in Los Angeles, California, click on Los Angeles, California, and it pulls up the organizations that are in that area. It has it set to 50-mile radius as a default, but you're able to click on this and change that. Maybe 30 miles is more appropriate for this particular area. Then you can look at industry. So if you were interested in healthcare organization, you can click on that. And this will further filter that down. You can actually follow the employer if it's one that you're interested in. So you'll get notifications. You can actually click on reviews and see what folks have said about this organization. And this is really helpful information because you get a lot of insight that you normally wouldn't get before you were to maybe apply to this organization. You can also click on interviews, and this gave some more insight on what their interview was like at this company. So as you can see, the bigger the organization, usually you're going to see a lot more reviews and interviews and some highlights from the reviews. And you're going to get some quick snapshots here of employee perspective. What you're able to do is actually see some students that have worked at Disney. You can come over to the students section and click on Southern New Hampshire University only to look at some students that also attend the university or graduated from the university and are an alumni now. You can also message them right from here. Last thing I want to show is the Q&A section, and you can ask a question yourself by going over here and coming up with a question, or you can come back over here to the explore questions, and people within the community of Handshake ask questions and get some answers in here. And this got answered, so you'd be able to view the answer by clicking here. Someone who was a former intern answered the question. It's all about getting that extra context and extra insight to help you along your career path and take that next step in terms of applying and starting to interview. We look forward to seeing you on the SNHU Handshake Network. And for any and all career-related support, please contact a career advisor by emailing cocecareer@snhu.edu.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. So hopefully everyone, that video was helpful in explaining how to leverage Handshake as a networking tool. So really quickly, I just wanted to highlight some main takeaways. So definitely one of the main takeaways from the video is noting that there are such a range and a very large number of employer organizations waiting to connect with you on Handshake. And a reminder, that number was 570,000. Another big takeaway as well is making sure to utilize that filtering tool, which is a super important step to make sure that your employer search is efficient and effective as possible. And so those filters provided allow you to search for employers by keyword or location, which, as was highlighted in the video, can be filtered even more by city or state or even mileage. And you can also filter by industry interest. So again, taking advantage of those filtering options to make sure that the employers you're looking for are the ones that you're interested in. And also don't hesitate to look at the employer reviews on their profile page. So these can be super insightful as you navigate and research employers that are of interest to you and your own individual career goals. So you can check out those reviews that are left by students who maybe worked there in the past or are currently working at that organization and read what insights that they have to share. And additionally, you can explore and search for those students and their profiles in the student tab, and even think about messaging them directly to inquire about their current job, and again, building your own network community. And lastly, when you look up an employer, you can click the follow button anywhere that it appears for the employer in Handshake via your desktop or your mobile device. And just a quick reminder, following an employer in Handshake provides notifications to you when activities occur that, again, you may be interested in, like a new job is posted, or maybe that employer is hosting an event or attending a fair at SNHU. So with any professional career profile you set up, Handshake is really no different. There are specific tips and tricks to set up your profile. And so now we'll go ahead and watch a quick 3-minute video on how to build your Handshake profile and highlight some of those key takeaways afterwards.
Welcome to this tutorial on how to build your Handshake profile. Handshake is the premier platform among colleges and universities to serve their alumni and students' career-building needs. Handshake is the tool that employers use to connect with SNHU in order to promote their opportunities. All employers, jobs, and events on Handshake have been vetted by the SNHU Career Department. You will be able to access the Handshake site directly by going to snhu.joinhandshake.com, clicking on Southern New Hampshire University Sign On, and entering your SNHU login credentials. If you have not accessed your Handshake profile before, you will need to activate it and agree to the terms of service on this page. Once you have activated your Handshake profile, the easiest way to complete it is to scroll to the bottom of the page under Documents, click on Upload, followed by Select from Computer, locate and open the file, and click on Add Document. Once your resume has been added, click on Build Profile from Resume. You will need to manually approve each section of your profile in order to ensure the accuracy and completeness of each section. If you do not wish to build your profile from your resume, you can manually complete your profile by following the instructions under each section. Please note that your primary education should be pre-populated, but just like most sections of your Handshake profile, you can manually edit this field as needed by clicking on the pencil icon. Once you have finished approving the pre-filled sections of your Handshake profile, there are two more important steps that you should take right now. First, be sure to make your resume public by clicking on your documents and setting your resume to visible. Second, you will be able to indicate in which cities you are most interested in finding opportunities by clicking on the pencil icon next to your interests and typing the city and state for each location. Please be sure to click the best result from those that are auto-populated. And don't forget to save your changes. These two items will best allow SNHU's online career department to make recommendations on upcoming events and occasional job opportunities that will be most relevant to you. Of course, the more complete your Handshake profile is, the better the system will work for you. The more detail that you add to your profile, the better the job and event suggestions will be, and the more insight potential employers will have about your qualifications and interests. You can learn more about how to search for job and event opportunities, as well as how to network using Handshake in other tutorials. In the meantime, please ensure that you are checking your notifications regularly by clicking on your profile picture or icon and clicking on Notifications. This is where you will find job suggestions and direct messages from employers. You can change your notification preferences by clicking on Edit Notification Preferences at the top of this page. We look forward to seeing you on the SNHU Handshake Network. For any and all career-related support,
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. So again, I hope that video was helpful in explaining how to access Handshake and then how to set up your profile. So as mentioned, a thorough profile will help you make the most of this tool and make those connections with employers. So one of the first steps is uploading your resume and using your resume to autofill in your Handshake profile. This makes it pretty fast and pretty easy. But if you don't wish to build your profile from your resume, you can always manually fill it in as well. Also, we highly suggest making your resume public or visible, which will allow employers to view your profile, your career interests, your relevant work experience, and connect directly with you. Also, when setting up your Handshake profile, you'll want to fill in and select your career interests. So your interest section, which is located on the left side of your profile, indicates a few categories. So one is the job hunt. So that means that you can identify if you're actively looking for a job or not. You can include job interests, so meaning maybe what type of job you're looking for, whether it be full-time or part-time. You can also include the cities. So again, you can import where you wish to work. So when identifying the cities that you wish to work in, you just want to make sure that you select the ones that are auto-populated when you type in that city's area. Again, this is also very helpful when employers filter when searching for students who are in the same areas for their opportunities. And you could also even add multiple city locations. Lastly, there are roles that you can also select, which are basically the types of job titles that are of interest to you. And lastly, in that interest section, you can include industry. So again, which are the type of industries you're interested in working in, like nonprofit, financial services, etc. And then really, the last thing to note is the more information you include on your profile, the better those automated job and event notifications and suggestions will be. And so those jobs and event suggestions will be listed under your notifications tab, which again, you can edit at any time and decide how you prefer to receive those notifications, whether it's via email or via text. So at this point, I'll now pass it over to my colleague, Peter, to discuss the next few slides.
Thanks, Alyssa. So we'll dive into a quick video now on how to use Handshake for your job search specifically, and then conclude again with a recap.
Do you own your home in the Florida Panhandle but still rent your electricity? If you pay more than $50 a month in electricity,
This is Kathy Montanarella. I'm one of our career advisors here at Snhu Career Services, and I'm excited to present today how to use Handshake to search for jobs. There are really three key features of Handshake that make it a very useful tool. Number one, it is the premier platform for colleges and universities to serve their students and alumni's career building needs. It's a tool that employers use to connect with Snhu students in order to promote their opportunities. And all employers, jobs, and events on Handshake have been approved and vetted by our career services department. So you'll notice there's tabs at the top. The first one is jobs, and that's the one that we'll be focusing on today. So let's say that you are interested in looking at a human resources job. You would type in human resources or HR. Then you get to decide where your location is. Students, for example, that are looking in Waltham, Massachusetts. You get to decide what your radius is going to be. Most students are 25 to 30 miles. So we'll put 30 miles radius, and let's see what the results are that come up. On the top left, it says there are 36 human resources opportunities that are posted within a 30-mile radius of Waltham, Massachusetts. Let's say you're interested in the HR operations coordinator role with Harvey Performance in Raleigh, Mass. Some of the things you want to pay attention to are what is the application deadline, when was the job posted, and then there's a very helpful overview and details and responsibilities for the position. Then you can also scroll down and see what kind of degree they're requiring and if there's any experience requirements. Also important to pay attention to are the cultural information that's offered, like what Harvey provides. It talks about a fun, rapidly growing environment where new opportunities are regularly made available, so you know that they are poised for growth. They may even have a little bit of overview on what benefits they offer as well. Maybe you are looking for a full-time internship. So the way you would search for that is you would type in human resources internship. It looks like there are 14 internships. Sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're unpaid. For example, instrumentation laboratory, the one below it is a fresh new posting. It's part-time, it's an internship, but it is unpaid. So you definitely want to spend the time to open the job postings and see if they are a good fit for you. I sometimes have students that are targeting two different locations. So let's say they're looking for a human resources role and they're searching for either Dallas, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia. They're still looking at a 30-mile radius. You'll see that there are 9 jobs that are posted. Everything from human resources workday analyst or an HR internship covering the summer at a packaging location in Atlanta. So that's another fruitful way that Handshake can be used if you're looking at 2 locations. Quite a few students are looking for remote jobs. So let's look under human resources remote. There is a full-time internship with a human resources data specialist working with Unilever. You'll also notice there's a part-time internship unpaid doing volunteer work for a Denver, Colorado company. Let's say that you're interested in this HR and operations internship, but you don't have time to apply for it. Go ahead and bookmark that, save it in your bookmark section, and then you can apply later. We do list nationwide opportunities. If you don't put in a location, you'll be seeing things for the whole United States. Let's say you're interested in looking at Fidelity Investments as an opportunity. You can search by Fidelity Investments, and you can see right now that Fidelity has 2 locations at Seaport Boulevard in Boston, and they're also listing an opportunity in Toronto, Ontario. If you click on Fidelity, you can follow them and set up a notification by clicking on the blue star to the right where it says following. Handshake will forward new postings and news about Fidelity going directly into your Handshake account. It gives you an overview that they're doing investment and portfolio management. They have over 25,000 employees, and they highlight some of their client service rotational training programs. And it looks like there are 4 jobs. There are reviews that other students have put in about working at Fidelity. There's even information on what the interviews have involved. So this is incredibly rich information that is available to you just by using Handshake to your advantage. Career Services is a free service we offer our active students and alumni. We're available.
All right, thanks for listening. So we'll kind of recap that video really quick. Kathy mentioned it. Kathy was the career advisor speaking to the video. University-specific networking site, right? I think there's a lot of value in that we need to understand, in that there are some sites out there that you can search for jobs on, like Indeed, LinkedIn, same kind of functionality, right? This site is great, Handshake, because it's recruiters looking to recruit university-specific talent. And furthermore, they've actually taken it upon themselves to request for SNHU students and alumni specifically to be able to see their positions. There's value in that, right? If you're on LinkedIn or have a LinkedIn profile, well, any employer that posts a job, and anybody can see it. They're kind of automatically, in a way, doing I'll call it a filter for you. Just by using Handshake, any jobs that you find on there, the recruiter knows what the website is for. So that's just a win-win all around. So definitely, you can tell I'm a fan of, and Alyssa and David, we're all fans of Handshake, and this is one of the reasons, because they're specifically interested in university talent as it pertains to the roles that they're seeking. I wanted to call it the remote piece as well. There is a way to look for remote roles on there. I know that's something a lot of people are interested in nowadays with the new world we're living in. Note that when you're searching for remote roles, I think there's a location option on there, right? And you'd be tempted to put it in remote in the location. Don't put remote in the location. Put it in as a keyword. If you do it in a location, it won't show up. It shows up as like an address in a country or a road or something like that. It doesn't populate as a location with Handshake's kind of algorithm and how they set up their searches. If, for example, you were looking for a social media role, you would want to put in like remote social media, and then the social media roles that are remote or have that somewhere in their job description are going to pull up for you, if that makes sense. On the remote roles, just a little furthermore, remote roles can be challenging to find. So this is kind of side note, not specifically Handshake related, but just something to be mindful of when you're searching roles in Handshake in general. If you can be open or are willing to do an on-site role, you're going to open yourself up to a lot more positions. While we understand remote roles may be appealing for some, they're not necessarily a need. Maybe they're more of a want or a desire, right? So to help you build that career portfolio, or things like that, maybe network, still be open to on-site positions because there's a ton in there in Handshake and they're very valued. The next and last video clip we'll show is probably the most underestimated one on Handshake, and it's a thing that David, Alyssa, and I are big fans of, and that's virtual events with employers. So we're going to dive into that video. This is the last one, we promise, and then we'll go right back into the recap and then conclude the presentation with the last few final slides.
Quick, what's the tax on UV sunglasses in London?
Hello, thanks for joining this presentation, using Handshake to search for events. I'm your presenter from the career team, Peter Bartel. Handshake is the premier platform amongst university and colleges to serve their students and alumni. Handshake is the tool that employers use to connect specifically with SNHU students and alumni in order to promote their opportunities. All employers, jobs, and events are vetted by SNHU Career Department, being that it's a university-specific website. A lot of recruiters will use it, and they'll actually host and promote their own events on there or collaborate with Southern New Hampshire University specifically for those events. So when you log into Handshake, this is what you'll see as your homepage. Click on events, and events can be anything from a resume review day to a informational interview workshop to a practice interview day. You can search and sort and filter by different criteria. Let's say that you're really interested in Bank of America. You just don't have any time to look in the event right now. You can actually click this bookmark here, and you'll also see it on the save bar. If you click save, now Bank of America is listed in your save folder. So you can easily go back to that, and now you can see the full details of the event, the time frame, how to register, any information that the company has provided. There may be some postings from students or career services folks on the event. Let's go back to the general page. We're going to unclick the saved filter. We'll just click on virtual LinkedIn review day with Wells Fargo. List the time, the date, gives a description of the event. If it has a long description, you'll see this. View full description, make sure you click that. And this event, being a LinkedIn review day, is going to be a one-to-one opportunity for you to meet with that employer. The reason that I like events and encourage you to check them out is because it is an additional layer of connecting with that recruiter beyond just maybe a traditional virtual or on-site job fair where there's a million other people and they basically just tell you here's some information. This is a one-on-one or smaller group engagement where you can actually have that conversation with that employer, get a rapport going, get that relationship started. And oftentimes recruiters in these sessions will actually offer contact information for themselves. And then let's say you're interested in actually applying to that company. Now you have a direct connection to it. So what started with an informational interview day turned into a positive connection. And now you've applied for a position and you have an in with that company. Feel free to contact us at Awesome. Thanks for listening. So some takeaways from that video specifically. The first one I wanted to mention is just a unique recruiting with companies by posting their events specifically. Keyword again, right? Just like the jobs we talked about, but with events as well. Companies are specifically posting their events, virtual, most of the time virtual events, exclusively with SNHU. So although like recruitment events, right, or virtual events, let's say in some of the event examples, maybe a resume review day that we've had before, an informational interview day. So it's not an actual career fair, right? It's not an actual job that you're applying for. It's not an actual interview. These are super advantageous in our opinion, and we have some examples that show that, but advantageous for networking and to build a connection. We've all heard before, jobs are about who you know and networking, right? This is a key prime way to do it. That you can do it. That's not necessarily like a streamlined, well, let me just apply for a job. It may be attending a half hour session. So definitely highly recommend doing that. Also, a lot of times in actual jobs, if you think about it, rarely do you see contact info for the recruiter. You never see an email. You never see contact us here at this number. Typically, right? You'll see an apply button, especially with all the online applications nowadays to apply for the jobs, right? In these information sessions, what we've been finding in these resume review days, et cetera, recruiters are oftentimes giving out their contact info for students and alumni that attend. That's huge, right? So it may be a LinkedIn, it may be email. It's usually just their preferred method of application, and it's not guaranteed, it's not promised, but we're telling you that it happens pretty consistently. So now you went from, Alyssa shared the stats David put together, right? Over 57,000 jobs in the last year, and we've only had 288 events in the last year. And that's still a good number of events, right? But it's really a way to kind of distinguish and separate yourself if you take that extra time to attend that event, maybe ask a thought-provoking question or two, research the company beforehand, etc. So definitely some useful tools there, and we'd highly recommend attending events. To register for future career development virtual events or to connect with employers, David will put this link in the chat too, but visit us on the event page at snhu.joinhandshake.com/events. So as an example, we told you guys we did have some success stories that came from some of these events. Tasha Chapman, and I'm not sure, she may be attending this session. Tasha, feel free to hop in the chat, say hi if you are. But Tasha actually took it upon herself to attend a previous virtual event with a company called FIS, one of our employers here with SNHU. Virtual, I think it was an informational interview day, and they ended up, like we said, giving her the contact information of the recruiter she connected with. And Tasha took it upon herself to stay in touch with that recruiter, and it really came full circle with her. And she ended up getting offered, we have her quote here, she got offered a full-time role upon graduation from attending a virtual event on Handshake, right? I get it. Like everybody in the job sometimes is time sensitive, right? So you're like, I have to actually apply for positions. Be proactive on it if you can. Even if you're unemployed and you need a job, like that's understood. If you're taking 5 hours a week for your job search, well, okay, 4 can be focused maybe on applying for jobs directly. The other hour, do things like this, right? We're not saying that this is the only thing you have to do, but it's definitely an option. And we wanted to share and congratulate Tasha as well on that success. So here's some resources as well. The one that we shared before. This is some related content that you may find useful. So as a student, you maybe want to access the events page on Handshake. And then also for further information on Handshake, they actually have a very, very good support center. So they have an FAQ section. Go to that link that's on the screen there at the bottom. They have an FAQ section that's very helpful, very insightful. If for some reason you can't find your answer via the FAQ, they actually have like a live chat function feature where you can submit questions and they'll get back to you via email. For you all, be your SNHU email within 24 hours. Typically, don't hold me to that, but from what we've seen, 24 to 40 hours, 48 hours max, they have an answer. And if it's something they can actually like guide you with further instead of just stating what you need to do with the steps, they actually put together like additional resources for you. So I highly recommend that, in addition to obviously reaching out to our career team, but the Handshake support team is there for you as well, for your Handshake questions or needs. We're going to dive into tackling questions here in a minute. Thank you all for them coming through. I'm sure David is gathering them and everything like that, but we do have 2 sessions upcoming. Tori Chartrand is going to speak to mindfulness between 1 o'clock Eastern time and 1:15 Eastern time, coming up immediately following this session. And then immediately after that, Grace Dugan from our career team is going to lead a team of folks on smart searching for career information from 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just some events coming up we wanted to make you aware of. Stay tuned all day and into the evening hours. We're here back to back sessions. So we will now dive into question and answer, and I will stop sharing my screen and feel free to start with the questions.
So looks like we actually have a few questions that David has been keeping track of. So I have them kind of here pulled up. I believe Megan had asked, or put in the chat here, that she said, I am in Florida, but all the jobs and employers I am being contacted by are in New England. I am wondering if I have my settings off or is this a sign from the universe? Thanks, Megan, so much for sharing that question. Actually, I think might be the most helpful is to actually pull up the Handshake profile. So I actually can do that for all of you. Just might be easier so you could visually see it. I'm a visual learner myself. But Megan, what I would suggest for you in order to make sure that your career interests highlight the areas in which you would like to work is when you log into your profile here, this is kind of the landing page, the home page. You'll want to go up to your profile and you'll want to select your career interests. So by clicking on this will filter all of, again, what it says there, your career interests and what opportunities you're specifically looking for. And down here, you'll notice it's the where you're interested in living filter. So this is where you'd want to be able to select those locations in Florida, for example, by city, state, or even just typing in the state of Florida. So again, when employers on their side are looking for students who are located in the areas of their opportunities, it will only populate those, again, within the Florida area and hopefully stop you from getting contacted by employers who are out of state for you. Another suggestion I would suggest would going actually right to your profile page. And if you scroll down, so this is something I had mentioned and was highlighted in that video, you can also kind of do these really quickly in selecting under your interests, again, the cities or the areas of states that you're interested in receiving job alerts for or where you're interested in working. So this area is kind of the quick version of what that career interest page I just showed you looks like. So you can edit this really at any point in time very quickly. Or if you want to do a little bit more of that deep dive, I would suggest going back up here to your profile and clicking on the career interests and taking your time going through those options. So I hope that that was helpful.
One thing I do want to call out, though, I was just about to put this in chat. When you're listing your physical locations, when you're choosing those, Handshake uses an autofill. So if you're like putting Boston, it'll pop up with like a Boston, Massachusetts, United States. Because of the algorithms that Handshake uses, we recommend clicking on the auto-populated ones rather than just putting them in the free text. That actually allows them to use their geographic software a lot easier and will make that go a lot more smoothly.
Perfect. Thank you, David. And I can even demonstrate that here really quickly as well. So if I was looking for something in Boston, Massachusetts, so this is that pre-populated filter. So that is the one you'll want to select. So again, Handshake already has a lot of those cities and states already pre-filtered. So those are the ones you're going to want to select. And I'm just going to keep going through some of the questions here. So one of the questions that came through was, why do internships only offer 6 to 8 to 10 weeks? Would it not be more beneficial for the student to be moved from one area to the next to learn? So great question. Now, as far as the length of the internship programs for each individual organization, that is really up to their discretion. A lot of the internship programs that are with several organizations are well established or maybe project based. So sometimes maybe that project will only take 6 weeks to complete, or 8 or 10. And oftentimes those programs or internship programs for a lot of companies, they do use that as kind of their pipeline to bringing in those interns and then offering them their full-time positions after the internship has been completed. So sometimes for programs, or excuse me, for employers, that internship program is almost that pipeline or that funnel to granting those interns who complete the program maybe an opportunity to be offered a full-time position. So really the length of the 6 to 8 or 10 weeks for the program is really up to the employer's discretion. And like I said, most of the time it is project based. So sometimes that is the reason why those internships are up to a certain amount of weeks. So I hope that helps answer your question.
To add to that, look up what Alyssa said is spot on. Look up as well rotational programs on whatever you're using. That might get you and again, it's up to the employer, but some employers do kind of rotate through different, like, I'll call it arms of the company. You may do HR, you may do accounting, business development, rotational program, or management trainee program. Use those as keywords maybe, and that may give you some companies that do that type of structure. Typically, like Alyssa said, it's not going to be that extensive, but there are definitely some that do that, and those are the great companies, right? You know, if they have a trainee program or rotational program, there's probably a little bit more of a chance you might get hired off of your internship, or at least have even more skills and more of an understanding of what you might want to do.
Awesome. Great insight, David, or Peter, excuse me. So it looks like one of the other questions was from Priya, I believe. Noted, I'm a working professional and halfway through my SNHU program. Would I still be eligible to apply, or is this only applicable to graduating students? That is a fantastic question. So oftentimes in the job postings, the employers will indicate the level, I guess, of which they're interested in as far as students applying or alumni applying for their positions. So oftentimes for an internship, for example, maybe a summer internship, in the job description, the employer will note that they're specifically targeting students who will be graduating in May of 2022, for example. So if that obviously falls in your wheelhouse, if you are a student who will be graduating in May of 2022, then it looks like that you will fit those requirements and you're able to apply for that opportunity. Same thing goes for job postings as well. So you do just want to make sure that you're taking your time when looking through the full job description, that you're highlighting and making sure it specifically says, or if it does say, we are targeting students who will be graduating by X date, or that this opportunity is open to anyone at any level, whether you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, master's degree student, alumni, etc. So employers have the option to include those, I guess, qualifications or requirements when they're completing their job posting or internship posting. So you just want to make sure you're paying special attention to that.
Also, we do have several the thousands of positions that we do approve monthly. Many of them do allow for people who have not completed their degree, but are halfway through the degree or have just started the degree. As long as there is some preference for people who are in college, people who are working on the degree, people who are basically studying in the field, every single job posting has been read and vetted. So many of those are available for people who are working on their degree and not just people who have completed them.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. Peter, did you have anything else to add to that question?
No.
Okay. Fantastic. So really quickly as well, we've kind of received some inquiries about looking for remote internships utilizing Handshake. So just kind of wanted to demo what that search could look like. So again, if you're on your homepage here, you'll just want to go up to the Jobs tab. And as Peter had mentioned before, making sure that you're typing in remote into the search here instead of location, because it will not appear that way. So you'll want to type in remote, and let's say you were looking for an internship. So you'll select that internship. And if you see this kind of highlighted button over here, you can select all filters. So this will open up a new window here, and you can actually scroll down. And if say you're interested in a specific industry, so let's pick, if you're under financial services, you really want to work in insurance, right? So once, if that were, again, a filter of yours, you can hit the show results button. And it looks like we have about 54 jobs or internships that have been posted that are remote within the insurance industry. So again, you'd be able to peruse these opportunities, and you could even filter in more if you wanted to add a specific job title, something like that. You'd be able to add that here. But sometimes having some of the most basic filters allows you to, again, try and capture as many opportunities as possible. And then, obviously, as you're going through, clicking on the ones that seem of more interest to you, you can find out more about the opportunity. So again, if we are focusing on this opportunity with American Family Insurance, you can find out, again, here's the role description. If you click the view full description option, it'll obviously give you more. So you'd be able to read through this, what exactly they're looking for. And then you'd be able to hit the apply externally button, which that means it's just going to take you most likely to American Family Insurance's career site, for example. Now, if you also were interested in, you can clear these filters, of course, at any time. If you were looking for remote internship, and maybe you wanted to look into data science, you can type in data science, or you can type in a job title like data analyst or data marketing analyst, whatever that may be. And again, it'll filter by all of these available options. So if that were a search that you were looking for, you'd be able to go ahead and click on that opportunity. Again, find out more about it by looking at the role description. We highly suggest clicking the full description so you can take a look at everything that they've noted. And again, if it sounds like that's a unique opportunity that you'd be interested in, you just hit that apply button. Again, it'll either say apply externally, which will take you to that employer's career website, or apply, which just means that application will be collected in Handshake for that employer to take a look at. So I hope that was helpful. Again, utilizing these filter options is really, really something that we encourage our students to do, especially, again, if you're maybe focusing on a specific industry or even maybe a specific employer. There are tons of really great filter options that you can select, again, just to make sure that your job search or your internship search is as narrow and as focused as you'd like it to be. So if there are any other questions, again, feel free to raise your hand, or you're welcome to continue to add them into the chat box. I know we don't have too much time before moving on to the next session, but again, feel free to continue to ask your questions.
And FYI, we were talking about criteria too, that employers will list in job descriptions. Sometimes there's a GPA requirement on there. Not all the time, but some of the internship positions or the actual jobs will have a GPA requirement. Typically, I see 3.0 to 4.0, so 3.0 being the minimum. So just something to have a heads up on, look out for. It's not a be all end all like for every position, right? But sometimes that happens. So motivation, if you are a current student, to keep that GPA as high as possible as well. It looks like we had some more come through. Shenandoah asked, I have used Handshake and I have learned more tools and tips during the session. Okay, thank you. What does it mean if a job status is pending on Handshake? David, did you want to take that one?
Again, the question I was ask a clarifying question of, if it is an application process that you've submitted an application and that is listed as pending, what that means is the employer has not started to review the application, which may mean that they have either they just haven't updated it in Handshake. They might be using an external system, that sort of thing. If a job has been submitted to us through Handshake and it is currently listed as pending, that means it is pending review by one of our Handshake approvers here at Southern New Hampshire University. We read and vet every single job that gets submitted here, as well as every single employer. And again, we do this mostly to make sure that the jobs coming through are useful and are beneficial to our learners. So that would be why it would be listed as pending.
Thanks, David. Shay put in the chat, yes, they do cater to international students in addition to domestic, but yes, obviously not all companies hire international, but yes, there are some that do. Thank you all for the feedback. Yep. Good to hear about the different ways you can utilize Handshake. And again, I can't stress enough that that virtual events feature, absolutely use that. We find a lot of success from our students using that feature. You see Alyssa going to it right now into the events. So it's cool because it's kind of two-pronged. You got the full list on the left, and then if you were all the way up at the top, you can see your actual schedule on the right side. So it serves as like a calendar for you as well. But an absolutely great resource to use to connect beyond just the click apply for jobs a lot of times, right? It takes a little more time, it's a little more detailed, but definitely we see a lot of fruit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely echo that. Attending events is really another helpful way to continue to kind of exploring those career options. It's a huge networking opportunity. So if anything you take away from it, it's an opportunity to connect with those specific employers or those specific recruiters. Oftentimes going to those events and then maybe reaching out to that recruiter via their LinkedIn, or oftentimes when you go to these events, they actually will give you their direct email address. So sometimes just getting that contact information that way, and then following up with them, letting them know that I am an SHU student. I just attended your virtual event, last week. Would love to be able to connect with you about job opportunities. So it could lead to some really fruitful career opportunities. So we absolutely encourage our students to go to the events page on Handshake, browse some of the events that you can see here. If there are any that just speak to you, register to attend to them. Again, by clicking on the event, you'll find more about it. You can read what the event is all about, and then you can actually register for that specific event. And I will echo same thing we had mentioned in the videos, browsing and looking for employers. So again, you can filter by tons of different options here when you're looking or interested in specific industries or specific employer names like Amazon, for example, something like that. Once you're able to find that employer, you can click that follow button, which means then you will receive any and all notifications when that employer posts a job or posts or attends an event. So it's a really awesome feature, kind of takes the guesswork out of reminding yourself, oh, I better log into Handshake to see what's going on. You'll be able, by simply clicking this button, you'll automatically receive those alerts and notifications. So again, just a really helpful tool as you continue to explore career options.
Career advisors are well versed on this too. So the COCE at snhu.edu. Feel free to reach out and get further guidance between them, the Handshake support team, etc. So we'll conclude here. Wrapping up in the next session, mindfulness with Tori.